Spartan Nation, what's going on? It's Cam, the super cool Spartan. My brother Brian here, the super mad Spartan. Q, the woodshed, back in the building. The March Madness edition. March Madness is finally upon us.
Yes, indeed, we here. I haven't said it yet. January, February, IZZO.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why we're at that time period now.
Yes, we finally made it. Before we get into it, a special shout out to our other co-host, Quaffo, the Super Connected Spartan. He couldn't join us today. He's doing Super Connected Spartan things, but he'll be back very shortly for our upcoming podcast.
Getting the intel.
Yes, getting that inside info for us so we can add it to our cool show here. So what up, though? Super Connected Spartan. So let's get right into it. Man, March Madness, Michigan State, number 2 seed in the South region, in there with the overall number 1 seed, Auburn, which is pretty interesting. Also, for some reason, they stuck those very nasty Wolverines in the same region with us as well. But whatever. Or as a
enjoy your Big Ten tournament championship. I'm sure it helped your seeding out.
Oh yeah, it sure did. More likely. But anyway. So, yep. So, Mr. Super Mad Spartan, even though you're kind of chill right now, what are your overall thoughts of the tourney overall? All the seedings, the regions, the brackets. What's your overall thoughts?
The tournament has changed so much in the last few years with the player movement, NIL. You're not seeing these, all right, this team's going to be in the Final Four, right? Like there's always some teams that for a fact they're going to make the Final Four every year. But there's so much more parity now. A lot of these mid-majors with players who stick around, experience is ruling the day right now. I feel like it's that's why you see some of these teams making it farther. And you're like, all right, I never heard of like Yale or instead of Yale, but some schools that you wouldn't, not non-traditional powers, I guess you could say. They're making it far.
FAU and
like we've had some interesting teams in the Final Four. Like, hey, this team can win it all. I would never have thought that such and such Houston or something could win the champion. It never came to my mind. And I'm not to denigrate Houston. I know, Calvin Sampson got them playing. He likes to bring it. But yeah, it's just the overall parity. And you don't know. I understand March Madness is always going to be a couple of upsets here and there. But now it's just that's the norm. These smaller schools with the more experienced players going against these quote unquote sometimes boys, like 18, 19-year-old boys. You're going against
grown men,
mid-20s,
grown ass men. Yeah, bro. I agree with you. A lot more parity than ever. No one to me is safe. No one's safe. I mean, the past couple of years, we've had 16 seeds bouncing out 1 seeds and, 15 seeds bouncing out 2s. I mean, unfortunately we had that happen to us a few years ago, but
yeah, I know IZZO got them boys like, listen, it can happen to you. Be careful.
Oh yeah.
Giddy Potts hit another 3-pointer.
Yeah,
Tennessee State throwback for those who don't know.
Right. In a single game elimination, I mean, anything is possible. So to me, no one is safe. And to your point, you have a lot of mid-major schools with teams that have been together for years going up against teams that have not been together that long. Like I said, grown men versus boys. So it's real out in these March Madness streets, as it says, and a lot of more bracket busting these past few years compared to before. So it's going to be a very interesting tournament. I think that it's there's going to be some slobber knockers of games for real.
I also think some teams that are going to get exposed.
Oh yeah,
I'm. I know that SEC is known for football, but then they get like 14 teams into the tournament
yes,
this year. I'm like,
yes,
all
they
right,
got
no,
the most out of any
there is no,
conference.
it's just me, and people can call me, I don't care. Ain't no conference that good that you can have 14 people make the tournament from it. There have
Yeah,
been
I
years where the
agree.
Big Ten has been a complete grind, and you're not getting the whole league making the tournament
Right.
because
This year, only
they've
8
had a
teams
chance.
made it.
I just think of this, the SEC. I'm just saying the SEC, like how did some of these teams make? I'm not. I don't know all the records. Don't get me wrong, like that. But just that number alone is that's too many. No, your league is not that good. Talk about it. Everybody deserves to be in the tournament. No
Right,
way, no how.
right, right.
So I think you're going to see the SEC teams get bounced.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not talking about the ones we know are good. We know about Kentucky. We know about Auburn. We know about Florida. We know Florida,
Alabama.
Auburn, Strictly are good. And Bama's good. Yeah, we know they're good. No, the other teams, no,
Hey, I
no
agree
way.
with you. When I saw that on Selection Sunday, I was like, wait, they got 14 teams, and then the Big Ten only got 8, and I think maybe the ACC only got 8 or 7 teams. I'm like, okay, yeah, something.
Well,
And to
to
your
be clear,
point,
the ACC has not been great this year.
no, it hasn't. It hasn't. I mean, even though North Carolina whooped up on San Diego State last night, I mean, everyone has been screaming about how North Carolina didn't deserve to
They've
get
been asked
in.
the whole year. They deserve to make it. They didn't deserve to make it. If we're going to go, see, this is my problem. I'm going to get a little rant. You have the committee comes out, and it happens in football as well. Each team is judged differently based on their name.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you have UNC basically making it because they're UNC. And I can be clear, it happened in state a few years ago, too. We only made the tournament because our name was Michigan State. Made the tournament like first play it. We
First, yeah,
technically made the tournament.
yeah.
But UNC, if you're going to go by net, quad 1 victories, and all other stuff they try to make it seem important. If quad 1 is like, hey, the top 50 schools that we think are really good, and you've only beaten one of those teams, no. To me, that means every good squad you played this year, you lost to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Most definitely. I can't name, I mean, not that I watched North Carolina that close, but just from hearing all the talking heads mention it, like, yeah, how they get in? But and
Because
maybe
they're
it's
North
my
Carolina.
man, Bubba Willingham, who's the who happens to be a part of the committee, talking about, oh yeah, I recused myself when they talked about North Carolina coming into the
He put his
tournament.
bid in.
Oh, for yeah, all those backdoor meetings, I'm sure.
We know the facts. Money talks and bullshit walks. This is how it always been. And UNC got that
Yes.
bread. It's a big fan base. And UNC the Tigers, that's one of my favorite schools growing up. Just, Michael Jordan, the colors. Hey, I get it. But they shouldn't be in this tournament.
Right.
They won their game last night handily, and they better make some noise.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think they're in the South region too with us.
I ain't worried about them.
No,
We're gonna put an L on their foreheads,
right,
and that was back before we were a well-oiled machine.
right. Actually, it was our victory over North Carolina in the Maui Invitational that really propelled us, because that was the game that, that was a breakup party for Trey Holloman, because, when he started jacking up all those threes and making them and all that stuff, yeah, that was a turning
Yes, we
point
beat
for
them for
the program.
the runner-up for that Maui tournament or something like that.
Yeah, yep, we
Like third
did.
place.
Yep. So that
Then
was
we're like a
the turning
13 game
point.
winning streak because we lost to Memphis, and
Yep.
basically we didn't lose again until was it UCLA, USC?
I think it was USC. We had like
Yeah, one of
we didn't have a
the West
loss
Coast trip.
Right. Right. We went on like a 2-month span with no losses till we got the USC on that West Coast trip. But back to your point about the SEC, yeah, man, that, like, you talking about the money, money talks, bullshit walks. I mean, basically that's what happened with the SEC, because they got a lot of NIL, probably took some of that football money, put it into the basketball programs, and got 14 teams
ESPN.
in. Oh yeah, I
I know
forgot.
they don't have
network.
any men's basketball during the tournament, but you have to believe they're trying to get their people on TV.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. But back to the overall point we was talking about. Yep, no one's safe. A lot of teams that you think, are weak, they're not. I think one thing will happen in this tournament. I think there'll be a lot of upsets. I think you're going to
Sure, always
see,
is.
yeah. But I think there may be more for this tournament. I think they're going to be more,
The
because what you just
non-traditional
said.
powers are going to rule. You're going to see those teams
Yeah.
that you never heard of. And like, all right, for instance, all right, we'll bring it back to Michigan State with Bryant. Bryant's not like a terrible school. They can present some issues for Michigan State.
Oh yeah, I was reading
And
up on
you got
Bryant.
to show up.
Yeah, I was reading about their tempo, the style of the tempo they have on the court. Is relatively kind of up and down. So yeah, I can expect it'll take MSU a little bit of time to kind of figure that out. But I think once they figure it out, it'll be a wrap. But you can't
We
take
should beat them by
you can't take Bryant. Yeah,
diligence.
you can't take him. I mean, you can't take anybody lightly.
No.
I mean, the first, as we know, like from the past 4 years, that first weekend, I mean, that's the hardest weekend to get out of, because it's the opening weekend and you just don't know.
I was gonna say we haven't made it out the first weekend in a couple of years, but no, 2 years ago we actually did. We went to the Elite Eight. Should have went to the Final
Well,
Four.
Sweet 16. We got bounced up by Kansas State.
Kansas State, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like if we would have beat Kansas State, we would have easily made the Final Four.
Oh,
easily,
yeah.
but I think we
Had a chance.
But anyway.
So, what do you give MSU's chances of making it to the Final Four, broski?
I think they have a really good chance. We'll start by saying that.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a good the bracket. The bracket is not terrible. I think we got some nice looking, a nice path up until probably at a minimum this squad has to make the second weekend, just based on looking on the bracket and what we've come to expect from Michigan State. Second weekend is bare minimum. I think this team absolutely has the ability to make the Final Four in this bracket. Auburn has not been looking the best. I'm not saying looking like bums or anything like that, but they look
vulnerable.
They look more beatable than I thought, and especially from what Michigan State does, because the Auburn has the guy Broom. Oh, he's going to kill us on the boards easily, matches. But I don't think that they have the 3-point shooting outside of that to completely hurt us like teams can. Because when State loses or have lost this year, more recent losses, it's just been we haven't made the plays down the stretch. We we don't have a player who can erase so many mistakes. We have a collection of above average guys, but no superstar. Like for instance, we lost to Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament because Tanji went nuts. We still lost that game, like what, 3-4 points. We were
3.
in it
Yep.
to the end, but
Yeah.
there are 3 or 4 points we left out there.
Right.
And that's just okay. So we can absorb someone going off and going crazy, still win, but we have to be able to make our plays because we don't have an eraser like a Tanji or a Flag or one of these big name guys like it. We have a collection of really solid players, and Jay's obviously our number one scorer and Hooper, and he's projected to be a lottery pick now. But just how Michigan State plays basketball, we can't expect him to carry us. Like, all right, we need you to have 30 points today or we can't win. No. So overall, just how the team plays, just the depth. Teams are going to be able to compete with that. And the only teams that really scare me in this tournament are teams that are kind of similar to Michigan State. Like, I think if we play Auburn, it'd be a toss-up. I think we should win, but maybe I'm like 55% confident. The only team that I really don't want to see completely, well, 1.5. Duke, because Duke just kind of has this thing of Michigan State in the tournament. They've been bludgeoned. I know we beat them, with the Zion time. Okay, yeah, it was great, but historically not been great. Another school that really I think is going to be tough for Michigan State is Florida because they're very similar to Michigan State when they go like 10 deep. But I feel like their bigs might be a little bit better scorers than ours, so a little bit easier points.
Yeah, you made some valid points there, Super Mad Spartan. Some valid points. Yeah, I think that MSU got a great draw. I know the past few years they haven't because I think the selection committees fell in love with, oh yeah, let's pair up Michigan State against Duke. Michigan State against Duke. And then we end up getting bounced out like the first weekend. But I think this year we got a very good draw. I do think we have a great chance to make it to the Final Four. Some of the talking heads I've seen, even, our boy Stephen A. Smith, he picked in his brackets MSU to make it to the Final Four. And a couple other people, within that space of the super sports media. So MSU is getting some love, nationally in regards to that. But I do think MSU, like you said, does have a great chance to make it to the Final Four. And, I think the only team that will really get in our way is Auburn. And I do think, to piggyback what you're saying, I do think they are vulnerable. I've caught a couple of Auburn's games when they've won and when they've lost, because I've seen them when they split with Alabama this year. And I think I saw when they lost Tennessee. I know they lost Tennessee in the SEC tournament. I don't know. I think they lost them too in the regular season. But overall, yeah, I think that this is this is kind of ironic because this is the 25th anniversary of MSU winning the title back in 2000, which another ironic fact is that MSU was the last Big Ten team to win the national championship, but this is the 25th anniversary of that. So I think that there may be some team of destiny type of thing working for MSU, considering, that anniversary, the silver anniversary of that. Jason's dad, Jason Richardson, he was on that team as a freshman. And some of the lucky things have happened to MSU this season, with
we've had some bounces Holloman, go our way.
Yes. Yeah. Holloman making that fantastic three at the end to beat Maryland. And all those threes he hit, at Michigan. So I think sometimes with some years, with some teams, there's just this magic that has, that these teams have that this propels them. And I think MSU does have like that, shout out to my boy, Kevin Shaw, He used to say this when he worked for the state news back at MSU. They have the magic sprinkles. I think MSU has the magic sprinkles this year to really make something happen. So, of course, you got to play every game as is. You can't have a slip up. Doesn't matter if you're, playing against a 15 seed or a 1 seed, an 8 seed. I mean, you got to play your best basketball every game. It doesn't matter if you win by 15 points or 5 points or 1 point. It's just surviving and advancing. So, but I think MSU does have a great chance this year to make it to the Final Four. And I was going to say also, too, that, I was watching Big Ten Network when they were doing their preview after the selection show about the Big Ten teams that made it. And a couple points that I think that they made, I think, specifically for MSU, is that their style of play, especially defensively, I think that can surprise a lot of teams. Because when you're talking about earlier, Brian, how some of these teams can get popped, I think MSU can really surprise teams with their depth and their defense, especially with the guards. Because we know in the tournament, it's all about the guard play. And I think with the guards that we have, especially the way they defend, and I think they said that MSU, I believe nationally, in defense against the three, they're like in the top 5, maybe the top 3 in defense. I mean, that could take you a long way. Even if you don't shoot the 3 that well compared to other teams, which MSU, they shoot their share of 3s, but they're not, not flamethrowers behind the arc. But
they've gotten better the last month.
Yeah, they have gotten better.
Yeah. Especially with the teams when they go zone against them.
Right. So I think with their defense, their depth, I think that can take them a long way. And I think that teams that play against them may not be used to that. They may not be used to that type of ruggedness because, in the Big Ten, Big Ten is a rugged conference, both in football and basketball. So when you get the non-conference playing against, a Big Ten team, especially like in Michigan State, you're like, wow, it's like playing football on the hardwood.
One thing you mentioned is that I don't think it's just me, I'm more on the message boards than you are, than a little bit more on social media. There has been this thing about MSU in the Big Ten that we're not as good as we are, and that all of these teams, like specifically like Illinois and some of these squads. You beat Illinois the first time, they said, we lost because our best player had foul trouble and you guys barely had 1-1, and then we beat them again. And then we beat basically everybody else in the Big Ten to win the title by 3 games. I think on paper, people see Michigan State and they go down the line and it's like, well, what do they have?
Right.
And then they start trying to game plan and be like, well, man, when do I stop? Because, obviously, Jet Richardson is our best offensive player. I don't think there's any more discussion about that. But you can slow down Jace and lose a game because you're going to get killed by somebody else. One thing about this team that makes them so good and so unpredictable is that it's not necessarily a whole game that someone will take over. They have different people take over at different spots.
Right, and at different times,
you'll need it at different times, yes. Sometimes, man, we just out here funky. We can't get offense. And then, all right, Cohen Carr come off the bench, energy, big rebound run, duck. All right, then our Michigan State's hype. Now we're getting a little bit going. It could be Kohler. As simple as, or know what? Maybe we've been kind of stagnant. Kohler, he's getting offensive rebound. He's screaming. He's getting everybody hype. Well, okay. Game a little lackluster. We're not really into it because it's, we already know we won the Big Ten. Or here's Trey Holland to get everybody going. There's always somebody at a different time that's been stepping up.
Right.
And you never know who it's going to be. And sometimes it's not a consistent thing. I wish it was for me, but you'll have a game where, man, we're kind of stagnant. And then all of a sudden Frankie Filler comes off and gives you a quick 5.
Mm-hmm.
that you needed. That
Yeah.
all right for that moment, Philly was that guy, and we needed it. And so State being hard to plan for like that, and on paper, I know we don't look great on paper in terms of when if you're studying the team is not watching them. But State was absolutely mashing teams in the Big Ten
Oh
up until
yeah.
their first loss. They probably have one of the highest point differentials of a conference champion in Big Ten history. Like it got to be close
Oh yeah.
because most
I
of their
agree.
victories were by over 10 points. Like they were
Oh yeah.
just body bags.
Yeah.
And so I think, we talk about it. Can Michigan State go to the final can they win it all? I definitely think they have the potential to. It's hard to predict, oh, well, they're definitely going to win. Like, I can't say that. Because like, there's avenues which they can lose because they can go cold shooting. They can have a bad game. They can turn the ball over too much. You never know.
Foul trouble.
One of foul trouble because personally, I think foul trouble is why we lost the game to Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament, which I'm not mad about. I'm not super mad about losing. My heart was hurt that we lost. My head was like, good, we can take this L and this will have something to work on going into the tournament instead of us
Right.
going on a 10-game winning streak going into the tournament. No, we took an L. We broke our streak. Now we got to get back to the board. I don't know what it is about Michigan State, but I feel like in football and basketball, we do better as underdogs. We don't do better as
Oh
the
yeah.
front runners.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. When there's too much hype, we under deliver. When there's very little hype to no hype, we very much deliver.
I think we're in a good amount of hype. Like there's teams that people are saying, "Hey, I see Michigan State. I'm gonna pick them," but they're not like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
Michigan State
It's not
team to team
consistent.
tournament." Like
Yeah. It's
no, it's
not
just more so like
consistent.
State could win.
Right. Right. I think overall, from what I've seen, most people, I mean, these are just the talking heads, of course, are picking either Florida or Duke to win it all.
Florida's really good, and they run 10 deep as well. And this
Mm-hmm.
that 10 deep thing, I don't know. We kind of touched upon the last podcast around basketball. Such a unique thing because usually most squads only run like 7, 8.
Right.
State runs 10 consistently, and you better be prepared. Like I know you said Bryant likes to run. Bryant is also not in the Big Ten, so all right, they can run with the smaller schools. Are you going to run for 40 minutes in Michigan State? I don't know if that's going to behoove them very well.
Right.
You're going to see a lot of, if that's going to happen, my prediction is you're going to see a lot of Cohen card dunks.
And we probably will. Yeah.
After that 10-minute mark in the second half, State has just been obliterating teams.
Mm-hmm.
When they went on that the end of the season, when they started their win streak versus the ranked teams, it was like they did a statistic showing like the last like 8 minutes of the game, and State's just all right. No field goals, no field goals, no field goals, free throws, no field. Like just turn the water off on teams.
Yeah. It was a beauty. It was a beauty to see too, because I know we talked about this during our last hoop podcast that when they took that L at home to Indiana, like what, like
Season was teetering. We was like, oh,
right,
maybe we're not that good.
right. Then they didn't lose for the rest of the regular season. I mean, that's probably
Bodies
like
on
the
the floor.
most. Yeah, that was the most impressive run I've seen from an MSU team. Man, since I can't even remember. I mean, they won because after Indiana, they killed Illinois at
They
Illinois.
went undefeated.
Then they ran through Purdue. Then they beat Wisconsin. Then we mashed Michigan at Michigan.
Twice.
Then we beat them twice. I mean, woo. So yeah, I'm definitely drinking the green and white Kool-Aid this year.
At this I know this might be a little hyperbole. This might be Izzo's next best chance to get that second ring because I'm 99% sure we're not going to have Jace Richardson next year at Michigan State. From the last mock draft I saw, they said he had him in the top 10. So if you're a top 10 lottery pick,
Oh yeah,
God
you
bless,
gotta
go to the
go.
NBA.
Yeah, you gotta
You
go.
got to. You should. You know, what I love for Jason State, for sure, as a Michigan State fan, of course.
Right.
I'm not
Go get that.
expecting it
Go.
because I
Right.
think you've done
Go
what
get
you.
that bread,
Thank you,
young
sir.
man. Right. Yeah, his skills are ridiculous, dude. I mean, just the way he operates on the court, like wow, that kid got. I mean, he has the it factor. So if he's
Yes, he
in the
does.
top 10, yeah, he needs to go because he's got it.
It kind of feels weird that not weird, but I kind of to the point where James, when he makes certain moves, I like, oh, that's a bucket. And I feel like the Wisconsin game, he missed a couple of ones. Like, oh, he normally makes that shot. I'm like, okay, it's good. See, he got something to work on. But man, and what I really love about Jason's game is that he picks his spots, and he's never doing it out of the flow of the offense.
Right.
It's not like, all right, or give me the ball to do my thing. It's like, all right, we've run our sets. All right, okay, Jace, we need you. All right, go ahead, do your thing. It's you. You run our sets. We got the shot that we needed to get, and then thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a smooth operator on the court. And I think he can really show off his talent in the tournament for real.
Yes.
I mean, he could probably get into the top 5 the way he operates.
It's funny, when Jay started getting, more recognized, this guy put his article out saying basically the same tired thing we've heard about, well, Jace could be really good, but is Izzo going to hold him back? And I asked this question just to anybody who says it, like, okay, who has Izzo held back? Whose game has he handcuffed so much that they couldn't do what they're supposed to do? And like, and it's specifically, and it's just me, and this may just where I'm from, it just seems that particularly in the Detroit area, that comes about them talking about Keith Appling and kind of saying, well, he hindered this game. But Keith Appling was a point guard. He had to be a point guard. His size demanded him to be a point guard, and he did hurt his wrist. But I don't know. I think that narrative about Izzo handicapping people is just, I think it's just a made up narrative, because we saw this specifically this year. You've seen when it became clear that Jace was the guy who can get his own shot, who could be a creator. Izzo put him in the start line and said, all right, there you go. That's it. We've heard stories about guys saying they want to come back. Izzo says, nah, man, you need to go to the NBA. Jared Jackson, like, hey, you need to go. It's time for you. So this narrative of holding people back, like, that's just craziness to me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It's Izzo's best coaching job. He won that Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Oh yeah, yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Now, one thing I will say that would help is I think this is the time for Akins to really show off his talent too, because I know he's been a little kind of up and down here and there.
He's got to hit his shots,
but I think his shots will be needed.
Doesn't knock him down.
Yeah, his shots will be needed in the tournament.
But to be clear, he'll go through a spurt where he'll make like 4 or 5 in a row, and that's what we need. Like he has that potential. But I think for State to be able to win it all, there's going to be we need another consistent scorer of the basketball. I think the defense rebounding will be fine, but like you said, if Akins can just take it up a notch, play to his full potential, definitely.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Super Mad Spartan, you have any other comments you want to add to the March Madness pod?
Nah, I'm ready. I'm ready for this victory for MSU.
They're kind of
That's what
chopped
I'm
it
ready
up
for.
enough here. Our March Madness edition here of Q the Woodshed. See, we're expanding here. We're expanding, trying to get into, the basketball thing. We interviewed the soccer coaches, and we're trying to get represent everybody here on the sports side here with CTW. So, but before we get
All
out of here,
Spartans matter.
yes. Yes, all Spartans matter. Turn that into a hashtag. All Spartans matter. So, we always got to end the show on a good old fun fact here so I can, stump the co-host here. So, are you ready? You want to hear the Jeopardy theme song or?
Nah, I'm ready. Let's just get into it. I'm locked in. I'm in my defensive stance.
All right.
Arms wide out. Hands up.
And this fact is actually a surprising one to me when I did a little research on it. So, how many Final Fours has MSU gone to in its illustrious basketball program? 12, 10, or 9? Do 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 do
More 10.
Okay. So Brian the Superman Spartan says 10. And the answer is ding ding ding. He's correct. MSU has gone to 10 Final Fours in its basketball history. I jumped ahead a little bit. By the way, it is sad that we're not going to have a spring game this year. But anyway, yes, MSU has gone to 10 Final Fours throughout its basketball history. The first Final Four they went to was back in 1957, which I didn't know until like I said, did a little research. Their first Final Four appearance was in 1957. Then after that was the magic year, 1979, and everything else was Tom Izzo. So
that's Izzo.
But yeah, I don't know who was the coach of Michigan State basketball in 1957. Can't even tell you who that was. But yes, you are correct. They've won the 10 Final Fours throughout the basketball history. So you're getting a little better at getting these questions here. I want to find some more harder
most
facts.
Of them right. Don't disparage my name with this game. I've been getting most of them right.
You're about a 50% clip. Maybe 45.5%. So bravo,
right,
good
100%
job.
of the time.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we come to that time again. Another fantastic podcast of Q the Woodshed, the March Madness edition here. Let's cheer on, the IZZO as much as we can here, make this Final Four run. So having said that, I'm Ken, the super cool Spartan, my brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. Shout out to other co-hosts, Quaffo, the super connected Spartan, Q the Woodshed, and we are out. Go green.
Oh, white.